Hello, everybody. Time for our GED report. I apologize to everybody. Last GED report was probably about 3 weeks ago, and so I humbly apologize to my legions of fans. We spoke last time about the head of the snake, the Federal Reserve, and I recommend you check that one out, right? That video that was previous to this one, because if what you've been seeing, and I continually see this kind of thing throughout, is you have people angry about certain things going on in the country, and I'm kind of monomaniacal about this kind of thing, where I default position is who's paying for this terrible Project X, usually war, and the answer comes back to the Fed. The answer comes back to the reason why these nutty things that are going on that are atrocious is there are limitless funds to pay for them. And if you have limitless funds, small-minded, mean people in government can do whatever it is they want, and you can't stop them. They have a monopoly on violence, and you don't. You have a Twitter account and maybe a YouTube channel, and that's about it. And that's not going to get it done. So before we get to why I deleted my Facebook account, I want to talk about our sponsors. Teachable is a platform where you can teach what you are good at. I have 2 classes on Teachable. The freelanceteacher.teachable.com is our first sponsor. And I've got an ACT reading comprehension class and an ACT English class on Teachable. Great platform. They are the kind of web services platform where you can do so many things. I have yet to utilize all the features, and I recommend it highly. So today's topic is why I deleted my Facebook account. I had a Facebook account from early 2006. I may have even started it in December of 2005 or November 05. And I deleted the entire thing. I went to settings, and you have to do this on a computer. You can't do it on a phone. And I got the message from them when it said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" They said, "You have 600 some odd friends. You have 13,000 Facebook posts. And I don't know what it was, X hundreds of photos posted. Are you sure you want to do this?" And I said, yes. And I did it. And Facebook said, okay, you have until January 21st, and then it will be permanently deleted, because I deleted the account right before Christmas in 2018. So I erased it. It's gone. And that was my personal Facebook account. I had friends from high school, friends from college, colleagues. I had a lot of social media connectivity built into that account, and I got rid of it. The question is why? So the first thing, there are 2 main things that did it. The first one is virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is this kind of thing where you signal to your friends how down with the current opinions are. Whatever the current fashionable opinions are, you're cool with it. You put a flag as your kind of like the background of your avatar on Facebook. Like there'd be some kind of tragedy, and you'd put like there was a tragedy in Paris, and people had the French flag kind of shrouding their, I forget what it's called, shrouding their Facebook profile pictures. You would have, I don't know, main events would hit the airwaves. So usually it was, because this is how things have gone since the Trump election, you'd have Trump doing something, and all the major mainstream media, international billion-dollar corporations would bleat out their opinion, which they didn't like because they don't like Donald Trump. And my Facebook friends unthinkingly would say something like, "That's terrible and wrong. Look at the racism and sexism and all the other stuff that Donald Trump is guilty of." Now, some of it was stupid stuff. For about 2 days, the entire country was up in arms about dairy prices and the tariffs between dairy products between the United States and Canada. And I had this, now again, my friends on Facebook are in their mid to late 40s for the majority. They're my age. And they were angry about tariff prices in the dairy world between the United States and Canada. Really? No, they weren't. They'd be hard-pressed to explain what a tariff was, let alone what the rates were, or if tariffs are economically viable, or if tariffs are beneficial to the United States. They don't know any of that stuff, but they knew that the people at the New York Times and CNN and MSNBC and Now This and the Young Turks and all of these, I mean, they all say the same stuff. They knew that that was the opinion that they had. And why? Because that's what those people said. And I'm going to signal to all of my friends, look at me. I know what this is, and it's bad, and I'm going to show everybody that I am on the popular side of the angels. No thought, no nothing. While talking about this, a few other things came to mind as well. The Paris Climate Accord that Donald Trump refused to have the United States sign up on. People were going crazy. I had a friend on Facebook actually write that this person was afraid for children. This person actually spoke about this person's own children at that, how they're in danger. And I'm not going to let this president ruin my son and destroy his future. Really? The Paris Climate Accord? That was one of the dumbest things I'd ever read. The guy who is leading the parade in global warming, he himself said the Paris Climate Accord is simply a cash grab. It's going to do nothing to stop global warming. It's the worst thing in the world. It's just about money, and it's got no teeth. It's a dumb thing, and no one should be a part of it. That took me about 45 seconds to find, because I was like, hey, wait a minute. Is this really something that's going to be environmentally damaging? Is this something serious? Maybe 45 seconds. And Donald Trump was right about not signing the Paris Climate Accords because stupid, didn't make any sense. It's just taking money out of your pocket and sending it to the United Nations and other countries. And again, I'm a broken down English teacher. I'm pushing 50, and I figured this out in under a minute. And this is the global warming god. The dude was like, this is dumb. But India and China basically get a 30-year pass. Actually, let me rephrase. I don't know for sure about India, but I know for sure the Paris Climate Accord gives China either a 20-year, it's not less than 20, either a 20-year or a 30-year reprieve before it has to pay attention to anything in the Paris Climate Accords. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent on this kind of stuff, but that instance, I'm afraid for my son because Donald Trump didn't sign on the Paris Climate Accords. So the virtue signaling was just ridiculous. I had people who are wealthy and live in the nicest parts of Manhattan and Brooklyn and in the suburbs. One guy in Colorado. And they're virtue signaling about how much they love black people. Again, really? Is that why you live in Williamsburg? Is that why you live in Colorado suburbs? But no, on their account, they really are down with people in the rough neighborhood. They just, man, I am on that side. I'm going to virtue signal and status jockey till the cows come home. That was ubiquitous. That's your vocabulary word for the day. It was everywhere, omnipresent. So that was very, very, it really got to be annoying. You have those kinds of things going all out. And then you had the New York City public school, specialized high schools. The mayor, whose son is now finished at Brooklyn Tech High School, where I went, he was talking about how the racial makeup of those schools is bad. and they need to get more people of color in those schools. Well, the problem was, without going into that too deeply, is those schools are majority Asian. I think Brooklyn Tech is 15% white. So the inherent anti-white bias in the mainstream media and in somebody like the fake Mayor Bill de Blasio, he doesn't really care about any of this kind of stuff. He just wants to get brownie points. And nobody wakes up in the morning and is like, wow, the racial makeup of Stuyvesant High School is really bothersome. It's so problematic. I'm literally shaking. Let's change it by force. Because you have to take a test to get into those schools. And the Asian community is simply kicking everybody's ass. There are fewer white people and fewer black people at STI, Tech, and Science now than there were when I went. Oh, but de Blasio wants to change it. And of course it blew up in his face because the Asian community went wild and were like, hey, wait a minute. You're going to take seats away from us because you feel like that the racial component is off. Well, and guess what my friends on Facebook were all about? With few exceptions. There were a few. These brave souls were like, that's stupid. Right? We have working class Asians. I have a friend who works at Brooklyn Tech as we speak. And he's like, our population is mostly working class Asian and other people. This isn't some kind of uber wealthy white people thing. And that dude's a brave soul. I mean, I could take it. Right? I'm a public school teacher in the bad neighborhood. Nobody gets in my face. But this guy had a lot to lose, and I commend him for that. But people were virtue signaling like it was going out of style. Yeah, we need to do this. I had people at Tech who had gone to Tech were like, this is a problem. And I, of course, would type in, why don't you go to Truman High School by Co-op City? Or go up onto Gun Hill Road and go to Evander Childs High School and make a difference. Teach somebody how to be more literate. Go into, I don't know, let's say Boys and Girls High School in Brooklyn, if you want to stay in Brooklyn. Go fix some of that. You're going to try to, quote unquote, fix Stuyvesant Tech and Science. I mean, the bottom line with all of this is it got so tiring. All it was time wasting. It was virtue signaling and status jockeying like nobody's business. And it wasn't fun. That's all it was. It was simply making sure, other people making sure that everybody else knew that they had the acceptable opinions on what Tom Woods calls the 3x5 card of acceptable opinion. Very, very few opinions that were radical. And people, the mask slipped between January 2009 and January 2017, the Obama administration, because you had the Barack Obama administration cozying in bed with the big banks and going to war all over the planet. And no one said anything. And then very slowly, because the hypocrisy would have been too astounding right after the November 2016 election to actually be critical of war or mega national corporations and banks. So there was a little bit of a lull before people started getting angry again. And it was just hypocritical because you were silent for 8 years. And I said that a lot. I'm like, on Facebook, I said, where were you people? And I think I said this right around the Trump inauguration. Everybody was angry about their federal government. And I would say repeatedly, where have you been? I even put it on my homepage. Where have you people been for 8 years? And people were angry, of course, at me. So the virtue signaling and status jockeying was terrible. The other one is you really find out that people are ignorant and ill-informed and sometimes just flat out stupid. Now, I know that makes me sound arrogant, but oh well. It's my YouTube channel. I've got 72,000 views. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So that's what it really was. You had people have no scruples. The most disturbing thing and one of the things that one of the straws that broke the camel's back was people are being deplatformed. Mostly conservatives. I'd say 98% conservative libertarian voices and scary leftist, anti-war, anti-corporate voices are being taken off of platforms. So Alex Jones was deplatformed on multiple platforms all on the same day. And I said, you know what, this is wrong. It doesn't matter what one's opinion of Alex Jones is. The fact that these multinational media companies are obviously conspiring and deplatforming somebody in a country where supposedly we have freedom of speech. And very, very, very few people, right? Of course, Garth and a few others were people, they were like, man, I hate Alex Jones, but I don't think I'm comfortable with this. That was the exception. Most people were totally okay with it. And why? Because they don't like him. They don't like his views. And it doesn't matter what your views of Alex Jones are. If you have a conscience, if you want to be consistent, if you want to be somebody with integrity, what you do is you say, I think censorship is bad and this is not okay. If he says something that is illegal or inciting violence, yeah, take that video off or censor him somehow. But the censorship and the deplatforming is wretched, and it's going to come back and get you. Glenn Greenwald pointed this out. But my friends on Facebook, I mean, there are of course exceptions, but it turned into every morning I'd go on to what a platform I used to enjoy, Facebook, and I would just see closed-mindedness and ignorance. And I know how this makes me sound, but oh well. You didn't see people practicing what they preached. You didn't see integrity. It was just basically establishment liberal, not real liberal, corporate liberal, sometimes neoliberal viewpoints echoed and parroted in an unthinking way. If you're reposting Young Turks videos and Now This videos and perpetrating that they're truth, and of course it was a lot of anti-white stuff. You know, I'm white now. I was white when I was born. So when I see people saying all white people are fill in the blank, yeah, I'm going to be offended. I'm a person. You can say you don't get it right to have feelings, right? White people aren't people. They're animals. They're disgusting. And because of the sins of the past, they're guilty now. You could say that, but you wouldn't be understanding how people are going to react. You're not going to be understanding that people are going to eventually, they're going to push back, sometimes silently. And it's going to be a problem later. And people didn't see this. You can't constantly have what is an obvious anti-white bias, and it's apparent. And you can't say stuff like all of these people are, and then say something atrocious and heinous, and assume that it's going to be okay. It's okay in Hollywood. It's okay on the college campus. It's okay in much of our multinational conglomerates. But among regular people, it doesn't work. And it's one of the beautiful things about being at a place like Mount Vernon High School is we have so many bigger fish to fry. We have so many issues that you hear a lot of truth. You hear a lot of truth. You hear a lot of great stuff from young people, and it works, and the dialogue works. And that's really my last point, is I'm in a difficult place a lot of times. You see me repping my Mount Vernon High School sweatshirt. Come over and take a look. You want real talk? Come to the workplace. It wasn't on Facebook. And that's really one of those things where eventually I was like, hey, wait a minute. At my job, which is a troublesome place in many ways, I enjoy it more than going on social media with so-called friends. You know something's wrong. So I didn't even talk about Facebook censoring people and the problems with Facebook selling data and all the other issues with the platform that are terrible and very 1984-esque. I didn't even go there. I can delete Facebook for that, but it wasn't that, right? Maybe eventually it would have, but it was because it was arguably the most frustrating part of my day. And it wasn't that the opinions were frustrating. It was there was no dialogue. There was no expansive worldview. It was the establishment liberal progressive view is the only view, and everybody who is either a white person or doesn't agree with this is an evil demon and needs to be put down. It really was like that. I saw people calling for blood. People who would wouldn't say this stuff to my face, but they would post it on Facebook. It was bad. So I quit. 13 years. Game over, man. And I feel like I've been let out of prison. It's been much better. I talk to real people at home and at work, in the Bronx and in Mount Vernon, and it's much nicer. It's infinitely more enjoyable. And that's why I did it. And I suggest that you look for other platforms like Minds.com or BitChute instead of YouTube. Minds, Minds.com for social media. And there are a few others out there as well. And you should pull the plug on Facebook too, if you can. I recommend it. I think it's causing people stress, and the ignorance and one-sidedness and racism was actually very, very troublesome. And I think it's going to get worse. And when the great fracturing comes, I think it'll be one of the causes. That's it for today's GED report. I finally told you why I deleted Facebook. We'll talk about other issues coming up. And don't forget about Teachable as a platform so you can teach what you're good at and you know you're good at something. Talk to you soon. See you next time.